Hello all, welcome to the day 2 of Advanced Master JavaScript workshop. So if you are in, just type your name or just tell I'm in the chat box. We will just get started within 1 or 2 minutes. We're going to start our class. Okay. Okay, so we will get started with our class within 1 or 2 minutes. So if you are in title it in the chat box. I'm in like that. Okay. Okay, so we will get start with our second day of JavaScript classes. In the last class, we have covered about classes, and thank you, LinkedIn. Yeah. So if you are free, just connect with it in the YouTube because I think the I will share some of the link and admins. I think it will be come in LinkedIn also. But if you can able to join it in YouTube, that is much more better. Okay. So connect it in the YouTube. That is well and good. Okay. So if it is not possible, you can join with here. So before getting into, so this is a 4 days of workshop. So the day one is already completed. So it is a day two. So if you fill all the day one to day four of attendance, you will get a participation certificate from the TWT. So that you have completed the 4 days of advanced to master in JavaScript workshop. You will get the participation certificate via email. So you will get it. Okay. So make sure to fill the form. So the attendance form will be shared anytime in this live chat or meanwhile at the end of the live chat, it will be shared. You can just get it there. Okay. So now we will just get started. Yesterday we just discussed about what is classes, what is constructor function, what is factory function, and what is the problem that we are facing, and what is the solution that we have come up with. So that's what we have everything done. So today we're going to see about prototable inheritance, which means class inheritance, what is meant by inheritance, and what we can achieve with that. So that's what first we're going to discuss. And once we completed it, we just jump into hoisting, and we're going to see the deeper concept in hoisting and how it is working and everything. We're going to see about that, and that is done. We're just going to end our session with the immediate invoking function. So that is what we're going to discuss today. Okay. So let us share my screen. Okay. Yeah. So if you have any doubts regarding the concept that we are teaching with, that you can just tell it in the chat box. I will reply through the chat box and I will comment of you. So each and every concept is completed. Okay. So I will reply to. So now let us go for here. Okay. So let I open it with VS Code. Okay. And let us go for index, open it with the live server. So let I copy this one to my Chrome browser because we are going to work with so much of things in here. So we need Chrome browser to view it everything perfectly. Okay, so whatever browser that you are using, that is fine. Chrome is much more better. Okay, so I just go and paste it here. Yeah, this is the file that we are working with. So now let us get start with the inheritance. So yesterday we have discussed about what is classes and how to create a prototype for our object and how can we come up with a constructor function that is not having this prototype keyword and everything. So with the help of the syntactic sugar classes, how we achieved it, we discuss it, right? So simply let me uncomment this one. Now you can see this. What is this class? So class with employee. So we have a constructor default method that is used to construct our object. So it is going to construct our object properties and everything. And this is a method that is added to the prototype of the objects. So each and every object is going to create, and every time we are creating a constructor function, we will use the new keyword. So what is the use of this new keyword? Well, this change the scope of this keyword. So this inside a function is always refers to a Windows object, but when you are using the new keyword, it is refers to the variable that is creating that object. It is changing the scope of it. When classes, if you don't use any new keyword, means it will throw an error. But in constructor function, if you don't use any new keyword, it will not throw error. It will just show an indication only. But here, if you not use any new keyword, it will throw an error. For example, because it is a syntax that you need to use it for classes. So like if I refresh it, you will get it. And if I don't use any new keyword, you can see class constructor employee cannot be invoked without a new keyword. So you will get this error. So error message that you need to add it. Okay. So but we know that what is the use of this new keyword in constructor function. We have discussed it. The use of this new keyword is to change the prototype. To change the prototype of like the scope of this function. Instead of focusing it in the Windows object, it will just going to refer to the object that is creating it. That's what it is doing, right? So simply that is what it is. So now the next one is we going to discuss about is inheritance, prototypal inheritance, which means how to inherit the class. So simply what is the problem that we have solved with the classes is the repetition. When we are creating a number of objects, what is the repetition problem that we are having? We are just solved that. And second one is the memory management, like we add because of adding a function to the memory like a method. So what will happen, it will create only once, so we save our memory. That's what it is, right? So now what if I want to create a replica of a prototype, not an object. If I want to create a same prototype, okay, like this, with instead of this I just want to say it as person, like this I just want to create it. So what can I do now? What can I do now? Here I just want to repeat the same process, even though the methods and the process is going to be same, right? So this is a problem in object that we faced, and it is solved by classes. What if someone wants to uh, like just they want to need the same exact replica of another prototype? So what can we come up with? Well, we can use the inheritance. That is what inheritance it is. So instead of copy pasting the code that we have written again and again, so what we can do is we can create like class name, what is the prototype that you want to create, and you can tell like extends. So this is a keyword that is going to tell, so this prototype is an extension of this one, which means a prototype I going to create is the name of person. It is going to be exactly the same of this one. So which means I need some syntax that is really match with this employee. So I just going to mention what is the prototype. It is going to be employee, right? I just simply mention it. And now in the constructor function, we don't want to write every time this dot name equal to name, this dot role equal to, we don't want to write it. Simply what we can do, we need name and role. I can just simply say super. So what is the super method will do means, well, the super method, it is used to access. When you use the super method, then you can get access to the prototype, this method, the parents prototypes methods and data. Okay, so you will get access to it. And simply in the super method, what you need to tell what all are the methods and property that you want, right? Sorry, the property that you want. So simply I just going to say name and the role. That is the two things that I wanted. So now if I create const person, const person one equal to new person, and here I just going to tell the name, and here I just going to say JS, like this. So now what will happen? Let me ask what is person is in the console.log. I just going to say in the person one. Okay, if I ask for it, you can see the prototype is created, but you can see that what is the prototype that is created, this one. Well, the person is created this object, and that person is created by an employee prototype. If I click it, you can able to see the employee constructor and the methods are available in this prototype, right? So we can able to use it like this. And what if I want to add, I just want to all the methods and data here, but I want to add some extra information. For example, here I just want to add a role, and I just want to add some extra information. So what is the information that I want? So here actually we don't want to write it here. It will be accessible here. You can see constructor is there, and inside this object you have this constructor and the detail. Okay, so we can able to access it. And here I just going to say we need experience. I just say experience, we need the experience. So what we can do, so when you want an extra data during that, for that variable, you can type like this, experience dot equal to experience, like this. Okay, and you can give your experience like this, and if you ask for it, it will be work fine. Okay, so you don't want to repeat every time while creating this one. Okay, while creating the constructor function, you don't want to repeat it. What about the variable that is already existed? Just call the super and just work with that. That is fine. And what is the new one that you want to add? Just add that new one itself. Okay. And if you want to, now you can able to see in this constructor method, there is no details is there, right? If I click the prototype, you can see no details is there. But if I use dot details, but this object that is created by this person prototype, we can able to get the value. So what is happening here? So simply what is happening means, so when we are looking for a method, I already mentioned that the object is go for the prototype and just go for the top of the prototype and look for whether the method is available or not. So when I ask for detailed method, it just go for the prototype of employee, which sorry, of person which is created it. Here there is no method is available because we don't created any default method. Then what happened? It will again go for the next top chain. So it is going to be the employee prototype. So here the detail method is available. You can see the detail method is available. Then it is going to use that prototype. So simply an object is created by the prototype, and we that object is the object can able to go to the top of the prototype and they can able to fetch it. And if you want to add some other extra methods also, you can add it. That is absolutely fine. For example, here instead of detail, I just going to say greet, and here say this dot name. I just want to say welcome. And now you can see in this person, the prototype that is created is this one, the person prototype. And if I click it, you can see greet and constructor function will be there. And if I click again, and this prototype is created, it is an extension of another prototype, this one. And this is also created by us. And here you can see the constructor and the detail. And this is created by, how this is created? This is created by the default constructor function. So if I click it here, you can able to see the default, which means the official JavaScript, that with the help of that only we are considering everything. So all the thing you can able to see it. And this is the top of the JavaScript file. It is the top level of JavaScript file. Nothing will be there on top of it. If you're asking something on top of it, it will throw a null. So this is prototypal inheritance. So if you want to create a prototype, and with the help of this prototype, you want to create another prototype, you can use this extends keyword, and you can use the constructor function, and you can use this super and everything, and you can access it. And one thing is the object have access to all the prototypal methods and the property that we are giving. Only thing is we need to give this super method inside it. Okay. So that is what this we need to look into is. The screen is blur. Yes, Shravani, increase the video quality, Shravani. It is an live only. Okay. Shravani, increase the video quality. Increase the video quality to either 480 or 360 pixel. Just a minute. Okay, so increase the video quality of in your mobile phone. Increase the video quality to either 360 or 480 pixel. Okay, instead of 144. Okay, so just increase that. So it will be clear. It will be clear for you. Okay, let me check with my screen. Yeah, just increase the screen quality, it will be work fine. Okay, so increase your screen quality. Okay, then it will be work fine. Okay, everything will be fine. Good evening. Good evening all. Good evening. Okay, so that is what it is. Yeah, so that's what the prototypal inheritance is about. So just simply you just, if you want to replicate in another prototype, just you just want to create the extension and you can replicate it, and all other problems are just solve it. And we always have access to the prototypal method. Okay, so good evening all. Yeah. Okay, so let's get started with hoisting. So one of the important concepts that we need to discuss in JavaScript. Let me just get started with that. Okay. Okay. So let's get started. So I just going to say we will create. Okay. So before starting the hoisting, I just want to I want to write something, and some of the concept that we need to understand is. So what is actually hoisting? So if you go and search for in the internet, we have a definition. What they will say means moving the variable and function to the top of the page. So it is a default behavior that JavaScript can do, like moving the variable and function to the top of the page. Like that, it will be there. So what is actually hoisting is? So hoisting is something related with the memory allocation. So while I'm writing some code, okay, while I'm writing some code, two things will be there. One is memory and another one is execution. So if I want to create something and I just want to execute something, okay. So hoisting takes place here in the memory allocation. During the memory allocation, I will tell that, okay. So simply hoisting, here some of the things that we need to remember, okay, so that will be really helpful to understand hoisting. So here the hoisting takes place in var and the function declaration, okay. So whenever we are using this var keyword and whenever you are using that function declaration, so the hoisting process is going to be takes place, okay. So then what about let and const? We will discuss that. To be frank, in let and const also the hoisting is going to be takes place, but for right now, just leave it. The var and function declaration, the hoisting process is going to be takes place. Okay, so these two things. Okay, so in variable, okay, in variable, like if a variable is declared with var keyword, it is partially hoisted. And if it is a function declaration, it is fully hoisted. Fully hoisted. Okay. So this is the two things that we need to just remember it. It will really helpful to understand what hoisting process is. Okay. So there is a process is called hoisting. So we don't know what is hoisting actually. We will going to discuss it. But with the hoisting is going to be takes place in var and function declaration, and in variable. If a variable is sorry guys, sorry for it. Some connection issue happened. Yeah, now you can able to see that, right? Yeah, thank you all. Okay, now it is okay. So just want to ask you, just we created a variable a. Okay, so we just create a variable a and we assign this a equal to 10. And I'm asking for what is console.log a. So let us understand what will happen here. So in the memory, when JavaScript read this line, it is going to assign a variable a equal to 10 in the memory. Okay, and the second thing is when I ask for console.log a, it is going to execute. It is going to execute the function. The a is going to be executed in the console, and it is go and look for the function variable, anything that is available in my memory or not. What is okay, sorry for that network issue happened. Okay, so what will happen in the console, it is going to print the a for me, right? So this is what going to happen. So what if I ask, if I execute, if I call the function before console.log a, what will happen? For example, now look into the memory. If JavaScript read this line of code, okay, so here this a is in the memory, right? So let us see, when JavaScript started to read it, okay, so we're going to have this memory, this a, we are asking for a, but right now there is nothing in the name of a is available, right? So what will be we can expect, one expect here? Can anyone tell what we can expect in case of something like this case? Like I'm asking for console.log a, and the next line only we are creating it. We are asking something is not created yet. So what will happen when we are asking for something is not created? What we are going to get? Just tell it in the chat box. Whatever it comes to mind, just okay. So if I say it in let, okay, if I say let a is equal to 10, and here I'm asking for console.log a. And when JavaScript started to read the line, it is going to check for console.log a. And in the memory, there is nothing is available in a, right? So there is nothing is available with the variable a is not available. And what we going to get is we will get an error. So it is going to tell that cannot access a before initialization. It is telling that so we cannot access the variable a before you initialize it. Okay, so that is what we're going to get. And you can see this is an error. This is an error. So there is a difference between getting error and when I using a keyword with var, you can able to see we will not get an error. Instead of that, we will get undefined. So what is happening here? So what is the difference between getting an error, getting an undefined? So error is something that is wrong, right? So if I get an error, something that is wrong with my code and I need to check it. So that's what the error is of. And what is meant by undefined? Well, undefined is a special keyword that is the special type that is available in JavaScript, right? So it is a data type. It is we have it and it is available. So what is happening here? So well, now come up with hoisting will take place var and function declaration. These two places the hoisting is going to be taken, and in variable it is partially hoisted. This is the thing that we want to do. So when I write a variable, when I create a variable with keyword, okay, so when I create a variable with var keyword, okay, so what will happens means, so before JavaScript started to read the line, the memory allocation is going to happen. Okay, so the memory allocation is going to happen. So what it will do means it will look for all the keyword all the variable that is started with the keyword var. Okay, if anything, any variable is created with var keyword, then what it will do means it will assign a space for it. Okay, for example, before execution, before it is going to read this line, before it's going to read this line, this memory allocation is going to happen. So I just say a equal to, and what it will do, I say that in variable it is partially hoisted. So what is meant by partially hoisted is, instead of copying the value, it will give an temporal zone, like, which means it is going to give an temporary value to it. So that is what undefined, that's what it is going to be undefined is. Okay, okay, so that is what this temporal z zone is like, which means it is going to be the undefined. So it is going to assign a temporary value to this. Okay, so remember that, just simple. Before JavaScript is going to execute, it is going to execute each and every line. So what will happen means, JavaScript is going to read it, check for anything that with var keyword is available or not. If the var is available, if the var keyword is there, then what it will do means, it is going to assign a value before it is going to execute. So that temporary value is going to be the keyword undefined. Okay, so it will take the variable name and it will give a space to it and it will put undefined to it. Okay, so now JavaScript is going to execute. So now if I execute the function console.log a, what will happen here? I'm executing it, and what is the value is there, what is the value that we are having is a is equal to undefined. So that is why you can able to see here we are getting undefined. And once JavaScript, here we are executing the function, and once JavaScript is executed, now it will reaches this line, right? Once it is reaches this line, now the a variable is going to change to the value that we want to give. So whatever the value that we give, it is going to change. And now if I ask for it, you will get this, you will get this value. So what is happening? So before it is going to run this one, so the memory allocation, in the memory, a variable is created and partially hoisted. So the variables are partially hoisted, so the undefined is going to be that. So it will put at their temporary value to it. That is what undefined. And once it is going to execute it, so it is undefined. Okay, so it is undefined. Okay, so then it reaches this line, so that undefined is get replaced with the value a, and then I ask for it, then I execute it. You can able to see it here. So now let me see this with, yes, the live attendance form, it is not yet shared. You will get the live attendance form before the live is going to end. Okay, so let us see that with a debugger. Let's go here, create a new snippet. Okay, and let I put it here. Let me add the debugger here. Okay, let's see what is the code work that we're going to see. So now we are here in this line. Okay, so there is nothing has happened. So JavaScript is not yet to start read this line. We are just in the line number 1. JavaScript is not read at the line number 2. So let's see, you can able to see what are the things that we need is, we need the scope. Okay, and you can able to see this call stack. Okay, so call stack is the place where the execution takes place. Okay, and global is where the objects, global object, like whatever the variable that we are storing, it will be there. And if I click this global, you can see that a variable is created before JavaScript is reading, is going to read this line. A variable a is created and the undefined value is here, right? So what is this? This is called hoisting. So whenever we are creating with var keyword, so it will create a variable and it will put undefined to it. Okay, so now if I ask for it, let me go one step down. You can see in console.log, I'm asking for what is a. So now you can able to see this, a is still undefined. You can see anonymous, so that which means nothing is there. So global execution context is there. And now if I ask to execute the next line, so now it is executed. Sorry, let me go here. You can see now we are here. Now you can see once it is executed in the console, now we are in the line number 4. So the a value undefined is get replaced with 10, right? So now it is get replaced with 10. So then we go for the next line. You can see in the call stack, the call console.log is going to be executed. We're going to get the console.log, and once it is completed, it's just going to remove from the memory. and in the console.log we're going to get the undefined and 10, right? So this is what it's happening here. So simply, so this is what it is hoisting processes of. So before the JavaScript execution is going to happen, so the memory allocation is going to take place. So in this memory allocation, okay, so in this memory allocation, so what will happen means, if a variable is created with var keyword, so though their values are partially hoisted, which means they're going to put undefined to it. So they created a space for it and they're going to put undefined to it. So that's what they're going to do with that. Okay, so number one. So this is what happening here. So what if a variable with let and const, so this hoisting is not takes place? Let me see that. So let me go here in the console and let me write the same thing here. Okay, so instead of var, let me put let, like here. Okay, and here I just going to run this code. Okay, let me add debugger to it, and here we will put let. Okay, and let us execute it. Now add it. And now you can see we are putting let and we are discussing about whether the hoisting takes place, how hoisting is happening in let. Okay, so I only said that in var keyword this hoisting takes place. So what about let? You can see when I created a let variable, you can see it is not in the global scope. You can see the variable a is not in the global scope. Instead, a separate scope is created that is called the script scope, and here the variable is hoisted. You can see a is there before there is no execution is happened. Right now JavaScript in the line number 1, so we stopped JavaScript to execute, and here it is telling a is undefined. So hoisting is takes place in let also, even in const also the hoisting process is going to take place. But the problem is here is when it is in this script, which means the block level, okay, it is in this scope, we are not able to access it. The hoisting process will take place, but we are not able to access the variable before the initialization, before some values assigned to it. We are not able to access it in the temporary zone. Okay, so before some value is going to access it, we are not able to, before the value is going to assign, we are not able to access it. So that is why if we go and execute the function when it's log console.log a, so this is in different scope and it is throw us an error. It is say that a is not defined, not a is not defined. Let me execute here. Here. And we delete this one. Okay, let us come for the console. Clear? Okay. You can see what we are getting. It say it is getting that we cannot access a before initialization. So why? If you go for the source and if you go for the scope, okay, we delete this one, remove this one. So that is why what is happening. So it is telling that we are not able to access it. Why? Because when I declare a variable with var, so this variable is going to store inside a global object, which means the global scope, the Windows object. It is going to add it. But when I declare a variable with let, it will go and store it in a separate space, which means in the script, a block level. Okay, so in that block level, we cannot access it before it initialization. So that is why it will throw an error code cannot access a before initialization, because let and const also hoisted, but we cannot access it because it is not in the global scope. So you can simply ask for Windows here, Windows object, sorry, Windows object, And if I ask for it, this is the global object. And inside this, you're not able to see the A variable. Why? Because it is global object. So this let and const are not stored variables in the global object. In the different scope only, it will store it. That is the script. But when I create it in a var, it is accessible. It is accessible in the Windows object. In Windows object, you can able to access that one here. You can able to see it will be that. So that is why we can able to access it. Okay. So that is what hoisting is. So then what is about functions? So in variable, so the functions are partially hoisted. So the in variables, the variables are partially hoisted when we are working with. Then what about functions? What about functions? So the functions are fully hoisted, which means you can able to, if I create a function declaration, if I created a function declaration, I just say full hoisted like this. Okay. And I just want to say return hello. Okay. So now if I invoke this function before, invoke the function before it is created in the memory, okay, it will be execute. So I just say here, I just, instead of return, I just ask it in the console.log. Please tell it in the console.log hello. Okay. So before initialization, we can able to invoke it. You can able to see the hello is executed, right? So what has happened? Let me see it. Let us go for the console. Let us go here and let us add a new snippet. Okay, I just paste it here, and here I just add the debugger to it. Okay, and let's give a refresh and let us enter here. Right now we are in the debugger, and now you can see that this function, right now JavaScript is not reader the code, but the function is already created in our global scope. You can see what is the function name. It's fully hoisted in global scope. If I scroll it, you can see fully hoisted. The function is already there. It is not give any undefined to it. Instead of that, what is the function is there? What is the function value it is? What is it? It will be there, which means it is fully hoisted. The entire function is completed and stored. In variable, it stores just the variable name and undefined. But in function, it will just stores everything. Okay, so that is what happening. So that is why if I execute this function, if I come and reaches the next function, it is already having access to the function. So before JavaScript going to read this line, the function is going to be executed. You can see the function is get into that console.log, and it is going to execute the console in my console. And once it is completed, it is going to end the function. And once it is ended, now it will be, now it just came out from the call stack. So that is what going to happen. So this is all about hoisting. So what is hoisting? In variable, the memory, during memory allocation, the process will be takes place. In variable, the variables are partially hoisted. The variables are partially hoisted. Okay, so the functions are fully hoisted, which means you can able to access the variable before it is initialization. When you are working with var, it is hoisted. When you are working with let and const, it is also hoisted. But the difference between var and let and const is let and const store their variable in a separate scope. That is the script, the block level scope. But var keyword stores the variable in a global scope. So if it is hoisted, the global keyword is accessible, but in block level scope, it is restricted. Only the value is assigned, we can able to access it. So that is why the reference error is came, like A is not accessible before initialization in let and const. But hoisting, it's a default behavior that happens in the JavaScript during the memory allocation. And that is why the undefined keyword is used for. So this undefined keyword is not for the use case of something like that. We are giving let A is equal to undefined. That is actually no use case for it. So this undefined type, this data type is used during the memory allocations to create a temporary memory to that variable. And once the variable is created, it's just going to replace it with that. So that is how the hoisting it will be work with that. Okay. So this is how the hoisting will be work with that. Okay. So that is what about hoisting. Okay. So now the next thing is going to be, immediate invoking function, IIFE. So you need to write it in caps. Okay, immediate invoking function. So what is this use case of this immediate invoking function, and what is immediate invoking function? So whenever we are creating a global variable or a function, okay, whenever we are creating a global variable or a function, so the thing that we need to think about is about memory. So in JavaScript, the memories are limited, which means in some like some other programming language, we will not go and clean the memories. Okay, so simply what we will do means we'll just write the code, and JavaScript automatically cleans their memory. Okay, so it does automatic clean for their memory. But here in this immediate invoking function, because of this automatic clean memory, so it is good also, but there is an issue in while it is cleaning the memory automatically. So what is that means? When we are creating a variable globally and a function globally, it is not only accessible, like we know the scoping concept, right? So it is accessible all over the space, right? So those variables and those functions are permanent in memory. So even though it is not going to be used anymore, JavaScript is not going to delete that one. Okay, JavaScript is not going to delete those delete those variable in the memory. Okay, so the immediate invoking functions are permanent. Okay, so they are not temporary, they are permanent. So they are not, we no one delete that. Okay, so that's what it will do. And the second one is going to be, it will cause us global pollute. So what is mean by that? Well, when we are working with multiple scripting files, when we are working with multiple scripting files, for example, here we have a file called script src like that, and here I just going to create another script tag. Okay, so this is a separate and another file, right? So in this app.js, I will create var a equal to 10 like this. Okay, so the variable is created in the file called app.js, and if I try to access here, I just ask for console.log a, you can see we can able to access this. So this is called as global pollute. Just imagine you have some partial files, like you are working with 5 to 6 script tag, you are adding with that. So then if you create a variable in the first script tag, so it is accessible in all the script tags. You can able to access the variable in the all the script tags. So like this, you can see in app.js we have a file, and we can able to access that in the script tag. So inside the script tag, we can able to access it. That is not so good, right? So that is what global pollute is all about. So how can I solve this two problem? One is memory, it is permanent. How can I solve it? And second one is, it is going to be cause global pollute. So it will causes the global pollute. So we once a variable is created in one file, in another file we can able to access it. So how can I stop it? So the question, how can we stop it, is changing the scope of the variable, right? So right now it is in global scope. So instead of that, what I can do, I can put it in a function. So then the scope is changed to function, right? So if I put it in a function, like I just say function global var like this. Okay, this is the name of it. And if I put this variable inside a function, then the scope is limited to this function. We can able to access this variable inside this function only. So if I try to access it in outside, you can see we are getting a reference error, a is not defined. So this is not working, right? So the only thing is, we need to change the global scope variable to a function scope, or any other scope we need to change it. But here what is the problem is, if I want to run this one, then I need to execute this. Then I just want to call the global function, global sorry global var, and I just want to execute like this. Then only we can able to, whatever the keyword that is inside here, we can able to access it, right? If we say console.log a, we can able to access it, right? We don't want this one. So what I want is, when the page is reloaded, right, I want to execute all the variables and the functions. Okay, I just want to execute it. And once it's reloading is done, once it is done, once it is completed, and it should be accessible only inside this function. And once it is completed, whatever the memories that are not going to use, it just want to remove from the memory, and I just want to do it. So the only thing is, we can put everything inside a function, but here I want to invoke the function automatically. So that is what immediate invoking function. This while you are putting a variable inside a function, so that is, memory is created only when the function is executed. Once the function execution is completed, all the variables and all the things inside a function is going to be destroyed. It's just going to be dead, right? So that's what going to happen. So first thing, the memory is solved, and second thing is global pollute. While I declaring a variable inside a function, we are not able to access it in another file. So that is what it is. But the problem with here is I don't want to go and execute like this. Okay, because if I execute something like this, then it's become a normal function. I want to differentiate it. So how can I do it? Simply, you need to wrap everything with this parenthesis, and you just want to use this invocation, and this is important. So here, if you tell this function, this is what the function is going to be invoked automatically, and this is the syntax of it. You just want to create a function. Okay, you just want to create a function and put inside it, and you need to invoke that function. So whatever the function that you want to invoke, you can invoke it here. So simply like that. So in this cases, what going to happen, this is considered as an immediate invoking function, which means whenever the page is started to reload, so the JavaScript is, this function is going to execute automatically without anyone is going to call it. Yes, invocation function. Okay, so that is what going to happen. So that is what the immediate invocation function execution. So that is what happening here. So with the help, why we are creating it? Well, if you create everything inside a function, this variable is accessible only inside this function, first of all. And second one is, once the function execution is completed, all the memories are going to be destroyed. It is going to be destroyed in the memory. So we don't care about the memory and global memory space. That is what happening. But if you declare a global variable, then here you declare a variable, it is accessible in another file. In another JavaScript file, we can able to access it. So that is called as global pollute. To stop this, we can use it. And this functionality, you can able to see it in mostly this immediate invoking function. It is a old school technique to stop this. Okay, so right now in ES6 we have exports and import module. So I just create a file separately, and where I want to import, I can import it and I can export it. But before that, what has happened? We will use the immediate invoking function, and before that, what will happen? We have so much of things, like it is an evolution. The modules is an evolution of JavaScript. So each and every updation is happened. So that is how we will get the web packs, browserify, so much of things. Okay, so right now we have the export and the import method that we can use it. But the immediate invoking function is do a huge work, and to understand the problem, what is the immediate invoking function is going to solve it. It helps a lot. And this one you can able to see mostly in a library called jQuery. So if you go for jQuery and jQuery ready function. So if you already worked with the jQuery ready function, you will know that. So you will write all your code inside $document.ready function. Inside that function only we will write it, right? So you can able to see here $document.ready, and inside this function only we will write all our code. So what is actually this? So this is just a syntactic go of immediate invoking function. You can able to see here a function, a function is wrapped with this parenthesis, and it is a self-invoking function. So instead of invoking function only, we have this ready method. So the ready method is going to execute the function. Once the HTML and CSS is rendered, it is going to execute it. So once you are putting jQuery inside that file, whatever the variable that we're going to put inside this function, it is accessible only inside that function. So it is not pollute in the other files. Okay, it will not pollute it. So that is what it is. So jQuery mostly use this immediate. jQuery is built, everything is built with the immediate, the concept, the starting concept is built with the immediate invoking functions only. So it will be used here. Right now, other libraries, right now we are not using jQueries to working with something. We will use it, but not that much compared to other the famous libraries like React, Angular, and so much of things that is available. So in React and Angular, we have the export and import modules. So with the help of this export and import modules, what we can do, we can able to send a data, send a particular module, the particular work, the particular code from one data to another. So like one file to another, we can share it with the help of the export and import module. And we will discuss that export and import module later also. Okay, so this is what immediate invoking function is. Okay, so simply understand what is the problem that it is going to solve. So the problem is about whenever I create a variable what a equal to 10, okay, it is permanent in our memory, which means it is not get deleted. Even the memory is, even this variable is not going to use, it is not going to be needed anymore. It is permanent because it is a global, it is in global space, it is permanent, so no one can delete it and erase it. Okay, so it will leave it, JavaScript leave it. Okay, so that's what happened. And second one is, it is accessible to all the files. So you are created a script tag, and you created another script tag, and if you try to access a, you can able to access the a variable here. So that is global pollutant, because this causes so much of problem. So I created a variable there, and if I okay, so if I created a variable there, and if I try to access it here, so what will happen? We can able to give access means I can able to change it. So in somehow I can able to change it, I can able to manipulate it, and we never know that because it is in a separate file. So we are not going to check. So why the error is coming and everything in a, going for a separate file, right? So we are not check it. We will only look for the file that we are working with. Where is the error coming and everything, right? So that is what we will work with. So that is the issue with here. So to stop this one, to stop the global pollute and the memory, you can put it in a function, and the function is now local scope, which is it is accessible only inside the function. And once the function execution is completed, it is going to destroy all the variables and everything, the data that is inside the function. It is everything is removed from the memory. So that is why we used to put it in the function. We do that one, but here the problem is, and also it is not accessible outside the function. So especially like we are not able to access it here also, it will cause us some error. So that is what it is. So that it will solve all the problem, but the problem here is I just want to execute the function automatically. I just want to differentiate it from the normal function to the function I created it, right? So I just want to execute it automatically once the page is reloaded, instead of it is go and read everything and then it is go and everything. I just want to execute it. So that is why this execution, this invocation is there, and this parenthesis is all about invoking something. Whatever you are giving, it is going to invoke it. And here we are telling this is the function that I want to invoke, and this is going to invoke it. And if you don't use this one, it is not going to work. Okay, and even not only here, you can able to put this one inside here also. This is also completely valid inside. Simply it is going to invoke whatever the function it is comes next to it. It is going to invoke it. So that is what I don't know. The inspect page is also not working. Okay, so that is what the issue with that, and that is what the issue that immediate invoking function is solved. Okay, so this is all about prototypal inheritance, hoisting, and the immediate invoking function. In the day after classes, we're going to work with this keyword, and we're going to jump into the asynchronous of JavaScript. Okay, so before that, let me share you the attendance form. Okay, so please fill the attendance form once you completed it. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, so the attendance form is shared. Attendance form is shared here, so you can yeah, share in the live chat. Just fill the attendance form, and once you fill the attendance form, just tell it in the chat box that I'm filled. So I will cross check with that. So just tell it if you filled it means just tell it in the chat box filled. Okay, so it is day 2 attendance form. In the 2 days left is for JavaScript to the next advanced masters in class, and 2 days is left, and you can just view there and you can able to see that one. And if you want to see much more deeper concept and the internal working of JavaScript, so in our channel, so every Wednesday there is a premiere show will be conducted, that is called as Holo JavaScript. In this Holo JavaScript, we will decode whatever whenever we are writing some JavaScript code. So what is happening in the background, and what is how the memory allocation is working, what is call stack, what is engines, JavaScript engine, what is JavaScript runtime environment, and everything will be discussed there. So around 20 to 23 series is completed. It is a 20 minutes of each and every concept we already taken. Just have a look into it. Okay, so just have a look into it. If you want to further move on with JavaScript internal co-working, just have a look into that. That is fine. Okay, and all other things will be. And if you don't want that, just watch this 4 days of live. You will get an understanding about some of the advanced concept. And still, there is so much of advancing concept will be left there, and it will be conducted maybe in the later workshop. It will be conducted. So it depends. Okay. Yeah. If you fill the attendance form, just tell it in the chat box. I am filled like that. Okay. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me here now. So the live is going to be ended within 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, guys, thank you all. I hope that you have completed you filled the attendance form. So whatever the topics that we want to cover today, we just covered it off, and just go through it. If you have any doubts, you can contact us in the WhatsApp group, and via WhatsApp group you can contact us, and you can clear your doubts and everything. Phil Sundar M. Raj, thank you. No problem. Sure. Yeah, got it. Okay, so you will get it and you will get all the information. And if you have any doubts and further assistance for it, you can just contact us in the WhatsApp group. And we have a WhatsApp group or communicate with us in the LinkedIn and we will help you there. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. See you tomorrow.